one thing to have your voice heard, but if we look at what's happened with the Court ruling and how in many ways Parliament continues business as usual, how useful is that voice?
Well, you see, that's the difference. So what you need to do, and this is, we've been very clear, and I've said at the beginning of the interview, Parliament is a broken institution, mainly because the ANC have sought to dismantle and tame it over the last 2 decades. But what Parliament does require is deep structural reforms of how we hold the executive accountable. There have been a number of reports by academics and task teams over the last 10 to 15 years that have looked at what does accountability mean and how do MPs exercise that accountability. Those reports, from the Carter Asmal report into how we process Chapter 9 institutions and how they have a role to play in Parliament, to the Corder report, which made significant findings around how MPs conduct accountability. And the Corder report is very interesting because it spoke about something called amendatory accountability as well. So it's not good enough just for a minister to come and ask questions in the House. Where there is wrongdoing, they must then tell the Parliament and the people of South Africa through their representatives what they're going to do to fix it. And I think that's the fundamental disconnect that we have now, where the executive feels that just coming to Parliament and answering questions is being accountable. It's not. You need to effect the change that accountability demands. And that's one of the reasons that we're driving very hard for an Executive Accountability Act to be passed, because we believe there needs to be a legal framework to hold ministers accountable. At the current dispensation, how things work, a minister could be elected or appointed by the President and need not appear before the National Assembly once, because you have a Speaker and a strong ruling party that won't demand that they come there. So what we're seeking is legal recourse for members of Parliament where members of the executive just simply ignore their duty of accountability, so that there will be a legal ramification if a minister fails to answer questions submitted by MPs, if a minister does not table legislation or deal with legislation in a proper way, or does not come to Parliament to account, that there is a legal way for us to hold them accountable, and there are real consequences for them legally for not doing so.
That in itself speaks to perhaps not trusting that those avenues of recourse are healthy within Parliament, that you're almost assuming a parallel process by going through the courts. So that to me really does speak to what you're saying about the health of Parliament and its structures. If the DA is saying, well, we don't trust that Parliament's going to ensure that the civil servants are doing their duty to the public, we're going to go to the courts. I mean, that's a huge red flag.
I think what I'm saying is that we need, like you see with other constitutional creations, the Public Protector, the Auditor General, they all have acts of Parliament that then substitute and reinforce their powers and set out their powers. So you have the Public Protector Act, which protects the rulings and findings of the Public Protector. You have the Auditor General's Act, and you have the Public Finance Management Act, which all flesh out what those regulations and responsibilities are. What we're saying is that we need an Executive Accountability Act, which then backs up the powers given to us by the Constitution, codifies them and sets them out very clearly, and then also sets out consequences should those powers be violated or ignored.